Recording. Here we are for another Saturday Night Live with our special guest, Reem. She came to actually come visit us and do the call from here. How are you doing, Reem?
I'm really good. Thank you for asking me as well.
Awesome. So we got another guest. What brought you to Masterclass? Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to have interest in the health field, I guess. What you could put that way.
So I am American, and I moved here May of 2016. And I moved here to attend massage therapy school so I could continue on to osteopathy school. And we're in school, and you start to learn a lot about science background. My background is in communications and journalism. So it was kind of a lot of new stuff coming at me. And, in the past year, I was reading about cleanses and, at one point, I read about this buckwheat with kefir cleanse and, you just start exploring. And we were taking hydrotherapy in school. And then it came up colonics. And so we're talking about colonics, and my classmates know that I'm interested in these things. They're like, you should definitely do this. You should check it out. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what this is. So I start researching, reading, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it. And I'm looking on Groupon because and in a city like Toronto, of course, there's over 10, 15, maybe 20 places that are listed on there. Didn't read any reviews. I just happened to pick one. And it was Rena's place. So I meet her, and she happens to be Palestinian, which I am as well. So the irony was
Paisanos.
It was just really bizarre, kind of steps that had to happen. And she starts talking to me.
Oh, hang on. Said you can't hear. Could everybody else hear us? Can you give us a signal? Because we tested on the other computer and we have sound. Can somebody let us know? She can't hear. Yeah. Yeah, if somebody can let us know. Hello?
Yeah, they can unmute themselves.
Hello, can you guys let us know if you can hear us? Anybody?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Then it's one person's having a problem. Thank you. Let's continue. Sorry, where were we?
Yeah, I'm like, what's my first time? Let me just see how it goes. And I meet her, and we start talking, and you connect with people. There's certain people that you find a connection with. And she starts, she starts dropping hints, but nothing crazy. And I'm catching them. She notices me catching them, so she reveals a little bit more. She talks about asks me what my diet's like, what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm not really sure. And talking about having bad acne, and I think it's the water in Toronto. I'm not really sure. It might be my gut. I think I should remove some things. Starts talking about mucusless diet, and by the end of the day of the session, she tells me about Masterclass, and I'm like, okay. So I go home and I'm like, I gotta research this. I gotta know what's going on. So that's what I did, and I spent the next 6 months researching, and also kind of
When was this?
This was. I came to see you in
almost a year ago.
Yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah. So when I joined the Masterclass group on Facebook, it was nothing like what it is now. It was small, and it's been such a joy to see this group flourish, and not just within Toronto. I think of myself as incredibly fortunate to have my resources within the same city. I moved here from Miami. What were the chances that I would discover this? It was slim to none. But I think it just goes to show whatever you seek is seeking you, and And if you're asking for healing and if you're asking for a way, then, you know, it's there. It's there for you. Yeah. And you just got to keep your eyes and ears open.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, background of diet, were you involved in any kind of health stuff or?
So growing up, like I come from an Arab family. We
Eat.
ate.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it is an insult if you go to the house and you don't eat.
Mhm.
It is, you know, like the first thing I do when I get home, you know, I hug mom and dad. What do you want? What can we get for you? It's like, no, I'm okay. No, you gotta have something. Or like aunts, grandmas, everyone. It's just they want to feed you because this is, you know, it's a celebration.
Yeah,
It's,
showing love.
Yeah, and it's a way that they offer love too. So it's like compassion.
Yeah.
So breaking that is like was challenging. You know, I still sometimes face struggles with my siblings. Even my sister did her master's in exercise physiology, and she studied nutrition, and the other one's doing the same. And so, you know, we're living in a conditioned society that's
A little bit.
yeah. So you have to be, you know, you have to be understanding, I guess.
They have their opinions about the fast.
Yeah, I think that the first time they heard that I wasn't eating food, you know, everyone's immediate reaction is like, well, what are you doing? Like, well, how are you living? How are you getting enough calories? And like, what's your nutrition from it?
Mhm.
And I think to myself, when I think about it, it's like, well, let's think about like, just like ancestors. It's not even like go back to like way back. Let's just talk about ancestors. Like, how often did they actually eat? And how often was food accessible? It definitely wasn't accessible 6 times a day. Probably wasn't accessible 3 times a day. Maybe once a day, maybe once every couple days. And that sustained them to healthy lives. Probably healthier than us, because now we're looking at all of these societies in the Western world especially. It's like cancers, if you know, I bet like everything of mine that everyone knows at least like a handful of people that have cancer. And you know, I was one of them. My mom had breast cancer, my aunt had breast cancer as well. And I think that seeing that that process firsthand really changed me. I thought I really wanted to do like international news, and you know, I did work in that field for a while, and then came back to States, and you know, I didn't realize how much of a toll it played on me until now, after going through my process and joining healthcare and wanting to figure out how it works.
So this is your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm abnormally passionate, possibly, about like the gut and whole GI tract. I think it's like really fascinating. Just like the systems within your body, just even thinking about your body in general. Like every cell is doing whatever it takes to keep you alive, and that is just like a miracle and a blessing.
Yeah, to keep you healthy, it's your job, not your
This is
body's
true.
job.
This is true. This is true.
That's a good point, because you know, you put everything in, the body's gonna do whatever it takes to keep you alive.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's like when we're learning about homeostasis in school, like you know, the body has this natural ability to heal itself if you give it a chance. You know, if you think about a car, you don't wash a car while it's running, right? You have to like park the car and give it a break, and then it can clean itself, and then it can continue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think about that sometimes and relate my body to that. It's definitely challenging, but I'm, you know, beginning my journey. So
Awesome.
So you're coming from more or less standard
yeah. So I guess it's called SAD. It's like standard American diet. Growing up, I ate anything and everything. My dad told me, you know, you can't say you don't like something if you've never tried it.
Mhm.
So I tried everything. I worked in hospitality for a few years. I specialized in Japanese cuisine and sake. Like I became a sommelier, which is called kikisakushi. So I studied in Japan for a little bit, and you know, to think now about what I was eating when I was there, I can't give you any other explanation, then I just get this like sickening feeling, like just this like uneasiness right here. And every time I think about it, and yeah, I think that cheese is absolutely the most addictive thing in the world. And
For sure.
and now, like, you know, like we talk about like everything, meat, everything. It's just like, we don't even know what we're putting into our bodies anymore. And I think that if that doesn't scare you, I don't know. I'm not really sure like how to really approach that.
Yeah. Well, we've been conditioned to believe our digestive system is designed to put the matter through it.
Right.
And, you know, some people will never ever believe anything but that.
Right.
But it's a vacuum system. No matter passes the walls of the GI tract. It's all done through field interaction. And this is something that very few even want to understand, that because everybody loves to eat. But, you know, once we clean that GI tract out, and then you can get the field interaction happening, we have infinite amount of energy all around us. And this is something that is over most people's head, and just a fallacy in or science fiction or whatever you want to call it for some people. There's people doing it, living off fields and no foods and no liquids, so it's possible. But you know, we're not saying everybody needs to go that route. So.
No, I mean, I think everyone needs to, you know, it's not like we're here to say this is the way, this is the only way, this is the best way. I mean, every person, there's something, you know, that you can do. But I think that, like, if you want to have like, a life committed to healing, you have to make that choice. I think that a lot of times we live in this world and we play victim. It's very easy to play victim, you know, like, oh, I have IBS or constipation, but I suffered from constipation, but I didn't realize that it wasn't normal to go once every 3, 4, 5 days. I didn't realize that. I just thought that was normal for me. I didn't think about blockages. It's like, oh, it's normal. Like, why would I go every day, or let alone if I eat 3 times a day, you should be going 3 times a day. And so coming, you know, into this healthcare field and starting to like, understand and realizing, wait, there's something off here, and then trying to like reestablish like consistency.
So is that one of your major problems that after you found out, or any other issues that you had?
My acne. I never had acne growing up. I thought it was like I was blessed. I was like, this is great. And then all of a sudden, maybe like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I started getting really bad acne. At the time, I was working at a barbecue place. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stop eating this meat. Like, I'm not going to have like pork and beef. Like, I'm just going to cut the meat out. And then my face wasn't getting better. And I was like, okay, maybe like, and I moved here. And it's like, maybe it's the Toronto water. And it's definitely not water. You know, like, and then I started really reading, researching. I was like, okay, this is gut. I had a partner in the past who had severe psoriasis. And I think that when you face these diseases or these like stagnation of the body, let's put it that way, because I think that's a better name. You realize that when something's displaying externally on the skin, it's because something internally is happening that's off balance. So we can reestablish that in these phases, change the terrain, then the issues will really go on their own. Nothing happens by force. Like Mother Nature doesn't work by force. Like you don't. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah. But if you're like gentle and you're kind, then you're kind with your body, and you're mindful, and you have intention with every step, and there are no issues. There is no conflicts because everything will continue to flow and move.
Yeah, for the skin problems, I see it always has to do with lockdowns, which block your kidneys because the skin's from the gut to the rest of the body, and block your kidneys because the kidneys are filtered, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, once the kidneys are blocked, you cannot get the waste out through the urine anymore. Through your urine, they're not filtering, right? And so the lymphatic system becomes backed up with waste, and it starts coming up through the skin, which is another distribution. So they always start with the bowel and the kidneys. And then there's no exit for the waste from the lymph that starts coming out through our skin. That's psoriasis, everything. Eczema, acne, the wrinkles as well, everything. It's just underneath the skin, the lymphatic is backed up with waste.
So you found the MasterFast page, you started reading, and you thought they were all crazy.
No, no, it's funny because you think that, but my curiosity was just like through the roof. And mind you, I'm in school full time. I'm going through massage therapy program. It's a 17-month program. Have to be there Monday through Friday, 8 to 3, 2 days a week. I got to stay till 8 p.m. And then on the weekends we have stuff. So there was no time for a life. I'm having a job as well. And the only thing that I wanted to do is read about MasterClass. And I'm lying in bed with an exam the next day, countless weeks. And I'm just like, I gotta listen to this. I gotta listen to this call. I gotta watch these videos. I gotta follow these people. And I gotta see what's going on. And I couldn't get enough. And I was like, okay. I was in a bad money situation. I was like, I gotta get these teachers. How am I gonna get them? And I'm like trying to manifest the money coming and just hoping that, and planning. That's what's important. You have to plan because in MasterClass, if you don't plan,
you gotta make your goals.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you don't make those accommodations, then you're gonna go in the next day and when you're unprepared and your mind your ego starts to play with you, that's when you fall, right? And it's not saying that it's bad to fall, but if we plan properly, then we can, catch ourselves sometimes, right? So, yeah, I was just I was fascinated. And I was like, all right, can I do mini trial runs of MasterClass without the teachers? And I was testing myself and just trying to get myself going. And I threw in a couple dry fasts and started I started incorporating the pudding and the tea. I was like, okay, until the day that I could order the tinctures, and I got the Divine Nine, and ever since it's just been, I've done it like 3 separate times now. The longest was 44, and then
that was the first.
Yeah. I mean, the first time.
When was that?
That was.
I think in last year.
Yeah, it was in the winter.
It
was really hard, right? The cold, and it's my first winter in 10 years, and I'm you start to can't handle the cold as it is. Moved here from Miami. It's wild, and Toronto's not a joke.
Yeah, it gets cold.
but man, I felt good, and I knew then. I was like, I know as hard as this is, doing something right. And, you just feel that.
So what was your experience in that first 44 days?
Oh man, it was challenging.
So you were going to school and working?
I was going to school and working. Yeah. I thought it would be beneficial for me to tell people. And I thought that if I said something, then it was, first of all, I'm setting my goal. I'm being held accountable. Others are going to see me, and even if they're not going to tell me what to do, I knew that I told them, and I had to hold myself accountable to that, right? Because I felt like if I keep it quiet, maybe I'll cheat or something, and I didn't want to do that. But people were not receptive. and that is the polite way of putting it. I'm in school with, about 27 other massage therapists. These are all people who are passionate about healthcare, about helping people. They just couldn't seem to wrap their minds around it. And the most challenging part was my best friend. You know, we were binge eaters. That was how we built our friendship in school. So the first few months, you know, we would go get some food. We would come back to class with an entire pizza box and eat the pizza in the middle of class like it was nothing. And it was, you know, just normal. And then when I stopped doing that, all of a sudden it was like friction because she's like upset that I'm no longer doing this with her, where it made me feel bad to me on so many levels. To eat it made me feel bad. To think about the situation made me uncomfortable. It was just really, and the worst part was, you know, you're in school and obviously you're emotionally eat. That's what everything you do is based out of emotion. And a lot of times we want to block whatever it is that we're feeling. So we eat. You know, I'm sad, so I want to eat to comfort. I'm happy, I want to celebrate, so I eat. Or, you know, or even drinking, you know, like I was a bartender for years. Like I went through a period where I was excessively drinking alcohol. I'm like, I know that like a lot of this is detoxing. Like that's just years of detox. It's going to take, I'm in kindergarten right now. This is going to take years for me.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
But I'm okay with that. Yeah, of course, because it's like, I found a path and I'm moving forward. Every step to success is failure until success. So failing is good. It's good. And so even if I do like, you know, like a mini master class for like 3 weeks, where I'm full-blown master class, you know, 3-week period, like if I can do that a few times a year and maybe do like a 1 a week, like that's, you know, that's me like diligently working towards my goal.
So what happened in your first 44 days? We're talking about you started you wanted to tell people about it.
Oh yeah. I told my coworkers at this. I work in a Japanese restaurant, and they were not having it. I had just started the job, and they were just like, "This girl is weird."
And wackos. Where did she come from?
When I, you know, and like I didn't think anything of it. You know, you're having your releases, and it wasn't until day 17 that I saw like what other people were like really seeing, and that was after like dry fasting for like 48 hours. So it took 17 days for me, and that was deep. Like I don't know. Like to me, in that moment in time, it was deep, right? Mm-hmm. Looking back on it, hindsight, so, okay, you know, we still have work to do, but when I had that release and I released a worm, and I'm like, this is, and I'm like excited and I want to share. It's not the right people to share with because they are just like freaked out, disgusted. They're like, why is she telling me this? And then they're kind of like, they confronted me after I finished, and they're like, you know, did you like, how did you want us to respond? Did you want us to like do it with you, or like does this make you better than us? And I was like, no. And I was like, I had no idea that I was making you feel anything. I try to live a life where vulnerability is desired, and I think that because of this like emotion, I think we live in a society that's also conditioned to not feel emotion, and people don't want that. And being vulnerable is a scary thing for people. So when someone else is vulnerable, they don't know how to respond because they're blocked. But you know, that's not going to stop me from being vulnerable now. And I think that, you know, I just finished doing another what was it, 23 days I think, of master class, and I was doing it during my finals. So now, after doing it third time around, it was like so much easier. I noticed that when I did it the first time, even though I didn't want to eat, my mind was telling me otherwise. And it was, I remember there was a week where I was just like dreaming about the next meal that I would have. And that was the only way that I could get through every day. It was like, okay, when I'm gonna eat again, I'm gonna eat this.
Yeah.
Second time around, you're doing it and you're like, this whole time I gave up food, and all I was thinking about was food. So where was my intention? So second and third time was much easier. It was a breeze, and I feel amazing. And then you break it and you eat, and you don't feel amazing. And then you're like,
What are you for?
yeah. But, it's a process. You're always learning something. It always reveals something new to you, right?
Yeah. So what experience did you have during your 44 days besides the interaction with the people and stuff?
Emotions, trying to deal with them. You know,
Physically, what else did you have? Like,
so
how was your skin?
well, my skin began to clear up, and every time I do, I feel everything is like surfacing or like, trying to release. I built a strong connection with my body. That's been like a goal of mine, or like an intention that I've set.
Yeah.
So to really understand what's happening here. Exactly. And you can tell when it's hunger. It's not here. It's never here. When it comes from here, you're like, oh, I'm hungry. I don't know how to put this other than that is something else that is releasing an emotion inside of you that's causing you to think it's the similar feeling of being hungry. That's how I can explain it.
Yeah, the hunger comes when you eat. There's no such thing as hunger.
Right. But also you're like aware of like, I don't know if it's like another beat. I don't know if it's no.
It's more craving.
Oh yeah, it's totally craving.
Yeah.
It's an addiction.
Cravings are not hunger.
Yeah.
Right? But when you eat, you get more so-called hunger, right? They get hungry. The more they eat, the more hungry they get. It's just insane.
Yeah, the more craving.
I remember growing when we used to go to bars and that stuff. We used to go eat late at night, 1, 2 in the morning, pig out. Wake up in the morning a few hours later, and you'd be more hungry.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't figure that out. Now we understand what it is.
And when you go to bed fasting, hungry, you're having cravings. You're having cravings. You go to bed fasting, you wake up the next morning full.
Yeah.
So what does this do?
Your body's getting the energy it needs
Mm.
during the rest
It
without
definitely
eating.
was not-
Without
definitely was
eating.
not like, your body's not-
Everything's backwards from what we've been taught, right?
If anything, maybe it needed some sleep. Just some sleep, so maybe the sleep was missing, right?
Well, the energies at night are way more powerful.
Many times
Go
also.
barefoot walking at night is way more powerful than the sun blocks a lot of the subtle energies.
Yeah.
The sun rays. People think the sun is powerful. The night is way more powerful.
So I align with this very much.
Yeah. Like the ground gives off these subtle fields. It's just so powerful. People would want to try barefoot walking. Try it at night and see the difference in the daytime.
Yeah.
Just watch so you don't get cut.
Yeah, another thing is
And with a flashlight.
yeah, let's see, the cravings. They're not true, so
I don't know. I feel like I started to become aware when there were like parasites, like releasing emotion. That's what I noticed in the 44 days.
definitely I believe it's parasites.
And you can't like tell someone else like, oh, I have parasites, because like I'm sure everyone has parasites, but like when you build that intuition with the body, you build that understanding, and that like listening, you're like, I can tell you exactly when. And like even this most recent fast, I had an exam, and I'm doing it with finals. So I have 2 weeks of final exams, and I'm doing that fast. That's it. I'm gonna, this is gonna be a challenge, but I can do it. And I remember one day before the exam, and I felt like a little bit lightheaded, and I'm just like, just wait, and just breathe. And I would just like coach myself through it, because I knew it was something else getting angry at me for not feeding it. It wasn't me. And I said, be angry, and let the anger flow through me, and let myself like feel, and then breathe, and pause, and then go on. And then it's like,
Well,
amazing.
You know what's happening when you are doing these kind of things. you're taking in the energies that your body needs, and you can also, if there's parasites within you, whatever it is, you can feed them energetically so they're satisfied instead of feeding them physically. So, that is something that people are going, oh boy, we're just going to. The key is once you change the terrain into an area where they can't live anymore, they're going to leave.
Right.
They're going to leave. But you can settle them in that time frame when they're going on acting.
Yeah, I totally believe focusing and meditation is very, very important. So it's okay, like I said, just live with the moment, just let it be, and just somehow talk to your body through it.
Yeah.
One thing I was gonna say is I find cravings are much stronger at night, but I believe it's because the body is tired, and we mistaken that with being hungry. Every time we're tired, what do? We eat. We think we're hungry. And so
Tired, bored.
But
yeah,
that makes you more tired.
yeah,
I find when I do eat, I'm more exhausted and I want to sleep immediately.
definitely. And now when you wake up, you're gonna be tired, even more tired, because it's too much on your body by sleeping. So yeah, I believe the cravings are stronger at night. You're not present.
Yeah, most people have the bigger problems in the evening.
I would agree with
It's
that.
the cravings.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the body's just tired, wants to sleep, but we're mistaking the messages.
Well, whenever I fast, in the 44 days, like I barely needed to sleep. I had insane amount of energy. The fact that I was able to go to school and work and I was working a lot of hours, going to school, and I was just like, she was like, "Are you good?" And I'm like, "I'm good." Like I don't know. I sleep less than 5 hours a night, maybe 4 sometimes. Sometimes I'm just laying there and I'm not tired. I don't know what to do.
But
I
the
wake
emotions
up.
were
The emotions
intense.
were intense, driving me, but I didn't also know how to deal with them. I wasn't prepared, right? This time around, just also because I've progressed spiritually, I've been doing a lot of meditation, and I'm passionate about that spiritual world as well. And so I think by doing that, it's also helped me learn how to deal with emotion. So when emotion comes up, rather than rejecting it and creating resistance, if we accept it, it can dissolve. And so that was kind of my approach then, is to allow it to dissolve and accept it. And okay, this is how I'm feeling right now. Take it.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Feel. What does that feel like? How does that feel? What is it?
I think meditating is very important to visit that. Sometimes you're doing nice class, I'm too busy. I don't make time to meditate.
I read a lot about South American culture and being from Miami, and I've been so close there and done a lot of traveling in South America. And one thing that has been coming up lately is if we look at indigenous people, and the Brazilians, for example, when they speak very slow. Every word has little other words that flow with it. And so they take these pauses and
They're putting their intent and emotion through all the words.
and when that happens, you use that as a metaphor to life, right? So in any situation, like in a situation you're at work and someone doesn't piss you off, you get angry, right? Well, if you just take a moment, so much happens, so much compassion in that moment. And I think that can change your outcome, or instead of reacting, you're acting. So instead of me responding to the emotion in my body and eating to comfort, I can act, and I set the pace, and I set the tone, and I set the choices.
Yep.
So what's going back up a little? What's a typical diet from your culture?
Well, my grandmother, my father's mother, they were very poor. Were Palestinian refugees. My parents, my dad was born in the West Bank, and his mother lived on like bread and salt. Like they had close to nothing. She had 7 children.
He was, are they originally from the West Bank?
My dad's family is from Jaffa, and they were kicked out of their home with the war, and so they traveled all the way to Ramallah. They walked to villages, and and he was the youngest of 7, so he wasn't born yet. He was born in Ramallah, so he was the last one. They carried my uncle, his older brother, was above him. They carried him from the villages, and so they had close to nothing. She literally, she lived over 100 years old, okay? But even in her old years, she would get a piece of bread, she would bake the bread herself, she made it, and she'd just put salt on it and she'd just eat it. Because it was
emotions, satisfies the emotion, but also, I'm sure she doesn't binge eat,
she never binge eat.
Literally, was the amount is very important as well.
But when, they moved to America, and my parents met and married in the States, but when, they moved to America and the big family gets together and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it's like my aunt insisted on making 2 turkeys. So we had 2 turkeys, and then we'd have, it's called hashra, it's like rice with meat. And then you have yogurt with rice. So now I have carbs, meat, and dairy.
All the good stuff.
I remember being a child and my dad trying to give me fruit at the end of the meal, being like, Dad, I don't want it. Like, I don't want it. And now, even like learning just through my science courses, fruit should be the first thing to eat. So how fast it digests. What happens in your body when it's the last thing? And it's little things that we start to pick up on. And if you're listening and you're paying attention.
They do that in Italy. They eat it at the end.
Yeah.
After their big meals.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Yeah. And so I grew up eating a lot of rice, sometimes vegetables, like a lot of stews, tomato stews. But then I think about it's really difficult. I have to be honest, because there's this part of me that understands the intention, and I know that intention matters. This is something that belief of mine I've always had. So I know if my mother or my aunt or my grandmother had made a meal with love, like out of respect, I'm receiving good. If I go into any meal, I'm like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't eat this. This is going to be so bad for me. And then I eat it. I've literally eaten bad energy. So if you're going to choose to eat,
Love it.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Bless the food.
Turn it to light.
Say thank you for where this came from, for the sacrifice that was put into this, and thank you that I have the choice to choose to eat this, because you have a choice always. And then when you eat it, it'll send good energy. You're gonna like do that.
If you eat it, enjoy it. Otherwise, fast is interesting.
But guilt is a wasted emotion. Not saying that I've conquered this yet. This is something that I'm practicing, and practice makes permanent. So, but and we have to practice properly, right? So I grew up eating. My dad worked in a convenience store. He did a lot of political work in his years, and when the family started growing, he kind of got stuck in the store. But he always would bring home deli meat. So I ate a lot of salami, a lot of I haven't touched that stuff in years now. Since I was working in the barkeepers, we had meat.
Which is how long ago?
3 years.
So you were not a big eater in the past few years?
Yeah, in the past few years, it was, I remember in college I had a boyfriend who decided to go vegetarian after all he ate was meat and candy. And I remember him telling me he's going to go vegetarian for reasons for the environment. Like he said, if I'm going to eat an animal, I should kill it with my bare hands. And, that's fine. Okay. Absolutely. And I remember looking at him being like, you don't eat vegetables. How are you going to be a vegetarian? So there was there was a lot of carbs and dairy, not knowing that dairy
It's worse.
is the worst. So,
Mm.
yeah, but you learn and even now we're still discovering so much, right? Like,
We don't know anything.
yeah, we don't know anything. So just staying open, just expanding your mind, because so often we put ourselves in this box and we're like, I have to be in this box. And it's like, no, there's no box. Just let it go, let go, and let go of these ideas, let go of this conditioning, you know? I think we were talking earlier and I mentioned that, like, if a man beat his wife back in the olden days, and let's say it gets passed down through generation, and no one stops him, and no one says that it's wrong, then every generation will continue to repeat it until all of a sudden it's the norm. And that's essentially what has happened in society with food. We've lived in this like community where at first, you know, we ate sparingly, and then it became more and more, and then business and business. And I can't walk down the street without passing. Like, I can't walk down one block.
Most of the shops are food shops.
Everything is food and beverage. If I don't eat and drink, if I'm fasting, it's near impossible for me to organize anything with friends, because all they want to do is eat and drink. And I'm going to restaurants and I'm sitting there and they're like,
yeah.
Now I'm making them uncomfortable because I don't want to order. And I always thought those people were crazy, but now I understand. I don't want to go to a restaurant and eat this food that I'm not really sure where it came from. I'm not really sure what's in it. I'm not really sure what they're adding to it. And now I know, like, I'm making myself say, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge because socializing is always around food 99% of the time.
Which, I mean, you know, like every once in a while, it's,
Yeah,
you know, it's good. We have to, you know, in the end, it's like celebration. It's culture.
yeah, but people don't know how to socialize without food, really.
Yeah, right.
It's very rare you
Yeah.
get to any kind of social thing without food. There's always something, a drink, you know, something.
It's true.
So it's a big, huge challenge to intertwine with what's out there.
Yeah.
Family, friends, whatever, relatives. Challenge.
Yeah. It's the most difficult when you show up to like a big event and you're, yeah.
I went to weddings and it says I'm not eating.
Yeah, I remember.
People they're nuts. What do you mean I want to eat? No, I'm not eating.
I just, you know, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when big events, I think it's a bit easier because everybody's busy, you know, everybody's busy talking to each other.
Yeah, except the people at the table.
But if you go to, like, especially the family, you know, I feel, you know, you sit at a table like that when everybody's eating and enjoying the food and you're the only one not eating, then it's a little bit more emotional. Yeah, but I really think when I went to the wedding,
You can kind of slide
people were
down.
busy, you know what I mean? I need to tell them anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't know many people that way, so I guess that's busier.
Everybody's thinking about the food. We're not going to worry about you.
No, you're right.
But, yeah, my whole family, I've been doing it for many years, is fast and stuff. So again.
Yeah, that's the only question.
But, you know, I hope that like, we inspire people eventually. You know, like, I think at first I really struggled with my mom because she went through chemo and radiation. Thank God that she beat the cancer. She's a really strong woman. She's the strongest woman that I know. And, you know, to see her have gone through that process, you know, like, I know, like, it damaged her quality of life. Like, I see it now, and it kills me. And for the longest time, I would fight her on it. And I remember going home last fall when I was beginning school and everything. And I went home and I'd been reading. And part of the reason that I left America, I love America, absolutely, but I felt like I hit like a block with my learning. I felt like I almost hit like this glass ceiling. I was like seeking this information that I couldn't connect with somehow. because of where I was. And I felt that because maybe I'd been traveling, and every time I traveled and I told people I was American, that's fine. But, you know, it got to this point, I was like, I need more. I'm not getting what I need here for me to continue growing. And when I got to Canada, all of this stuff started opening, all these doors opening. Started reading, and I'm learning about Monsanto, and when I read about that stuff, I just lost like so much of peace. And I remember going home and going through my parents' cupboard and literally like just chucking things in the trash. And my dad is just like, my mom will just like, you know, she has her opinions, but she's quiet. But when she attacks, like she does. But my dad, he's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Like, you're just throwing money away. I was like, this is gonna give you cancer. This is gonna give you this, and I'm just like, literally running out the door with a bag of stuff that I just want to like get rid of. That I just want to get far, far away from my family, because I just want to protect them. I want to do whatever I can to just save them, you know. And you reach this point where you have to understand that
their journey.
Everyone's on their own and on their own journey, and the only person that can save themselves is themselves, and you can't save anyone else. And all you can do is like live in your path and live in your truth. And if they naturally start to come that way, they will. And my mom is coming around in a lot of things. She's,
they're in the U.S.?
They're in the U.S.
You came on your own?
I came by myself, yeah. I don't really have a support system here. MasterFast has been my support system. My classmates, my colleagues at work, in whatever respect they can play, are a support system. And I have like my community, of course, that is my support. But even still, like, you know, trying to like meld everything together, but it's challenging, but yeah. And now she's like, oh, stop eating meat, and we barely eat meat, and every once in a while, and it's like a thing.
Yeah,
okay,
changes.
hey, I'm thrilled. So yeah, they're coming up for my graduation.
You told your parents you're fasting?
Yeah, I did. I'm very open with them. I think it's very important for me to kind of like sit down and tell them, like, I've been very honest about many things, and not always been the most pleasant conversations, but they've learned to respect that I'm my own person.
Are you the eldest?
I'm the eldest. I have 3 younger, so
that's good for your younger.
But
and your mom doing that.
I'm like the icebreaker, I guess. So, but yeah, we're transitioning now, both my mom and father, and we're mostly eating fruits and vegetables, to my knowledge. And they're trying to like live healthier lifestyles, and they're trying to understand. And I'm constantly sending them on Facebook or Instagram or email. I'm like, check this out, look at this, and it's just like I'm dropping seeds. And the one thing to remember is never underestimate the power of a seed. Even if they don't listen to you right then, just like how when I met Rena the first time, she's just like, here's another one.
In the hand sometimes people complain.
Yeah, but
like you're too pushy. I'm just sharing. I say I don't ask anybody to do anything. I'm just sharing. If you want it, take it. If you don't want it, don't take it. It's it's very different from what you can do. The average person, talks about it. It's very different
because they're afraid. The opposite of love is not hate; it's fear. People are afraid. They're afraid of what they don't know. They're not ready. But it doesn't mean they won't ever be.
Yeah, no, I've seen over the years, talking to people that you're crazy, and then many years later, some of them started changing stuff. Many years, some of them. So you never know. You never know. Throw a couple of seeds. If they're not interested, don't worry about it. Change subject. You never know what that'll turn. Just don't know.
Yeah.
But when they start asking questions, a few years go by and start asking more questions, then you start getting the info. But if they're, showing no interest, change subject.
One thing that I did find was that people were like, "You're not drinking water." Like,
What? Crazy.
Water? It's like,
You're gonna die in about 3 days of water. That's the.
But we're not drinking water anymore. What we have is not water.
That was the biggest revelation that has made a huge change for everybody. Stop drinking water.
It's just. It's chlorine. It's fluoride. It's like I don't know if people are like affluent in like understanding like the pineal gland, hypothalamus, like what's going on in the pituitary gland, but
water dehydrates as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and that fluoride just calcifies your pineal gland, and that's like your third eye. That's your intention. That is, everything of how you understand, and that was something that was very useful in society in the past, but because of this conditioning of food and water, it's now basically an organ that doesn't function as properly as it could. We don't even know what all it does. We know it releases melatonin. We know that it induces your subconscious. But I mean,
they're just looking at matter state. They haven't got a clue what's happening.
Exactly.
They're just looking at the effects. So there's so much things that our glands and organs and everything are doing that, unless they start looking at on the plasmatic side, they're not going to figure anything out. They're just looking at the effects. So it really doesn't matter because with our emotion and intent, we can create anything we want. So whether we know exact functions of what everything does, it really doesn't matter because our emotion and intent is creation. You can create whatever you want. You make that desire and make it happen. People will move on the other side of the world. They meet somebody, they fall in love. Nothing will stop them. That's emotion and intent, the driving force.
Oh,
And that's just one example.
No, but it's absolutely.
Just somebody breaks a fast and they end up going way out of their way to go get something that they're craving. That's emotion and intent as well.
That was me.
And nothing will stop them.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That's how powerful emotion and intent. So you've created that. It's just an example, but everything is that. Our physical body is the creation of our emotion and intent of soul. This is an expression of soul.
I feel the massive fast shows you the power of the fucking intent. It does show you your potential, really. It exposes you to so much that you haven't seen before. I find it massive.
Forces you to kind of face yourself a little bit.
So you had some constipation issues, some skin issues.
When I started the master fast the first time, I had this like a little rash in my belly, and I'm like, okay.
It came out.
It came out and cleared, and it was like, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing mucoid plaque coming out. Tell me that that's not real. I'm seeing it. I'm feeling it.
The nose will tell you.
Yeah, I could smell sulfur when I fast. That's what I smell. Like literally, I smell sulfur, like chemicals coming out of me. The smell of my sweat changes. Everything. It's fascinating.
Kidneys filtering.
Oh yeah. Amazing. I remember the first time that I collected in a jar, and I'm just like looking at it, and I literally kept it for like 3 days. I was like, this is like as a reminder, just to know, like, this is what's coming out of me.
Yeah, all the calcification stuff throughout the body all starts coming out. It's amazing.
Well, I told my mom once she had the cancer after she went through it, I said, I will never do chemo. I was like, God forbid anything ever happens to me, that is just not the route that I'm going. I haven't taken a pill in I don't know how long, years now. I don't take Advil, Tylenol, nothing. If I go to the doctor and they want to prescribe me something, I say no. I don't really go to doctors anymore, actually. So I want to become an osteopath, which is like a holistic approach to healthcare. So it's not really like in my alignment at all. Yeah, like if I have a headache, I'd rather eat 12 almonds. You know, I'll soak my almonds on 12 almonds and that can rid my headache, or I'll sleep it off or something, but I'm not gonna, yeah, like I said, I would never do chemo.
Enema.
Right?
That'll get rid of your headache quickly.
So it's just, yeah, this was like, I better do my work now, because if I don't do it now, I'll pay the price later after. I'm 28, you know, I'm sure I've done enough to my body by 28 years that I have to start with reversing, you know, neutralizing the train is better.
What was your schedule like for your first 44 days? You dry fast and everything?
So making sure that I would dry fast 24 hours once a week, 48 hours once every 2 weeks, and then 72 hours. I got up to 77 hours dry fast, which was amazing. But wow, that last day, and then now here's what happened. I was like, okay, I'm gonna push through this. I'm gonna try to make it for the full like 5 days, right? And I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna wait and I'll break it tomorrow. I went to bed. I woke up in the middle of the night, like excruciating pain. Like I was like, oh my god, I cannot. Like
Pain where?
like in my, like somewhere in my abdomen. I was just like so much pain. I was like, what do I do? I was like, I didn't know what to do. And I ended up breaking it in the middle of the night. It was like maybe like 4 a.m. And I drank my champagne.
Bubbly now.
That was champagne back then. That's how long ago. And I drank the bubbly, waited, did my enema, and then release. And like freeing feeling. But I remember that. That was, I felt like I was going to die or something. I felt like I was just in so much pain. It was crazy. But I do these like practices of like natural medicine too. And I don't know if you're familiar with Kambo.
The frog?
The frog. So there's like a tree frog in the Amazonian forest that secretes a poison from its back.
Mm-hmm.
And this poison is the strongest antiseptic in the world. And it is, it's the active ingredient in like painkillers. But of course they dilute it with other chemicals and stuff. So you have men that they're trained like medicine men, right? Who can administer this. And the way that they do it is that they'll burn your skin. They'll like place 5 dots, and they'll extract the medicine. You know, they have it on some wood, and they'll place it there after they've burned you. And it's like a big purge, right? So your body will release in any way that it can, through sweat, through like purging, like through your mouth, right? And then also the other way. And I did it the first time before the master fast. And I did it in Miami, and I wasn't seeking it. I guess I was seeking it, but I didn't go with the intention of it knowing it was there. And the second that they announced it, I was like, I gotta do it. I've been waiting for this. Been doing my research on master fast, like, you know, like getting almost like ducks in a row. Like this will be like a good, like just before I start, you know. And that was like the closest thing that I felt to what I felt on the master fast when I was going through the 77 hours. I released so much. I lost complete control of my body. The amount of cleansing and purging, and like I just couldn't stop for like a good 25 minutes. I felt like I was dying. I remember laying under the tree and just looking up and just let go, release. Trying not to control, because when you control, you make it worse. And the next time that I did it was after the master fast, and it felt like 5 minutes. I barely purged. I was like, oh my god, I cannot. Like, this will be like a good, like just before I start, you know. And that was like the closest thing that I felt to what I felt I did more than I had the last time, so it wasn't strong enough. I mean, if that doesn't tell you anything, like that was like more than enough proof that I ever needed, that I knew my body went from being highly, highly acidic to like it's starting to neutralize itself, whatever that means, like whether it's like, you know, like it was toxic. Let me take out acidic and alkaline. It was toxic, and now it was cleaner. So I was just stunned. Stunned. Like I was like, wow, this feels like nothing. How did I do that? So
yeah, it's amazing. It must be a strong lymphatic chemistry in that frog substance that allows you to purge.
yeah, it's definitely some strong stuff. But you know, we have access to all these things. We have this master fastest. It's right here. It's like,
Are the frogs harmed?
oh no. The whole intention behind it is they catch it. They take good care of it. It's very gentle. They tie up the frog. They take some of the poison from its back, and then they mark the frog so the frog cannot be touched for another 3 months, and release it. They release it back into
3
the water.
months.
So, yeah, that way it has a chance to continue because that's its defense mechanism. It's how it protects itself. And so, yeah, and then they release them back into the wilderness. And,
Interesting. How do they mark them?
I'm not sure. I think they like put like a little like X or something in them. I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, it's very fascinating, and you know, and like that is accessible wherever as well. You know, like you can find it in Canada, you can find it in everywhere. It's
Those frogs?
I mean, the combo, the medicine. A lot of times they won't bring the frogs, but they'll bring the medicine, right? So, yeah, I mean, if people are curious, but all you gotta do is ask. All I did was ask, like, ask the universe, ask myself, like, I want healing. And I want it not in this like medicinal form. This healthcare is not healthcare, it's sick care. We are prescribing medication and then you develop more symptoms, then we're treating all these other symptoms and we're not getting to the root. If we just heal the whole, and then everything else just dissipates. You don't have to force it out, you don't have to kill anything. It's just, you know, it's gone. It's gone. It disappeared. What do you mean it disappeared? Well, it's not there anymore. So, I mean, and people are doing it. People are doing it, and masterclass is at your fingertips. Like, I don't know. My only question is like, what are people waiting for? Are you waiting to like? I was fortunate. I discovered this at a young age. You know, I'm still a baby, and I discovered this before I have anything seriously like life-threatening or something with a name. Because sometimes like what people have or what is assigned to them is just a doctor saying like, well, I don't know what this is, but it's abnormal, so I'm going to give it this name, and now I deem you a victim of this.
Yep. And people accept it. That's the problem.
So it makes them even more fearful. Like they're afraid before to change, but this one, like it puts more fear in them. And that's not good. Like that's not the best reason to change.
And there are these people that are now in a really vulnerable situation now, and they're afraid. And now they're like, well, if the doctor says I should do chemo, then I should listen to him because
there's no faith in other people.
Exactly. Like, that was something I really struggled with my mother, is like having these conversations. It's like, Mom, I'm literally studying this right now, and these guys are getting paid tons of money. You know, I remember she was still taking her, I think she still does take it, I'm not sure, but her, after you do chemo radiation, you take a pill for like 10 years.
How long ago was that?
It was, Yep. So that was 2009, 2009.
Wow. So I like that.
Did they remove anything?
They did a lumpectomy on my mother, and then I think some of them did not. I don't know much names. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but they give the best.
They kept the breast. My aunt had a double mastectomy, and she didn't want to have anything else. You know, she was left with that one. And man, they really. She has horrible like lymphedema in her arm. You know, and this is something now I know how to treat, but like
Treat?
Well, well, yeah, exactly. With massage, you know, we can. There are things we can do things to help. We're never gonna like, yeah, that's you're right. It's not that's
Only
we have
doctors
to be, yeah, we have to be so careful with our words now, right? And, but yeah, so there's things that we can do to help it. That's something that she might live with probably for the rest of her life.
And so,
Blocked, like it is, and it's painful for her. It's not easy. And these people are going through these like surgeries, like what is that bag? Yeah, when you know, and I know like two people that have them. They've literally removed their colon, and I'm just like,
At what age is young?
Like one is 31, the other one's my age, 28. These guys, like they're gonna live with this bag for the rest of their life. It's just
They accept it.
They accept it, and it's like did you exhaust all options? And it's like, one of them, he was one of my classmates. Like he graduated, he was third in the class, I was fourth, and I messaged him and I said, hey, I know this sounds crazy, but I know you're gonna have your surgery in a week, but I did this thing, and you might be interested in reading about it. And he's like, yeah, I sent it to him. He's like, thanks, you know, but I think I'm just gonna. It was like too late. It's like
too late in his mind.
Yeah, but
else, you know, he sort of he already decided just
yeah.
one thing before.
They think that's going to solve the problem.
But it just creates more, unfortunately, in most circumstances. You know?
In all circumstances, I've never seen it create less.
We're trying not to speak in absolutes.
But anyway, yeah, well.
But that's the thing. It's like,
anyway, doesn't matter. So.
We're coming to a point in time where we're about to be in absolutes, where everyone is going to have cancer. Like pretty soon down the road.
We all have it. Some of us have the symptoms already. Some don't.
Matthew says, so awesome. Matthew's on.
So how is, after the masterclass now, how is your lifestyle?
Well,
it has changed.
Oh yeah, my eating habits have tremendously changed. You know, after the first masterclass, like I'll be honest, like it was like a pendulum. Like you go from one extreme to the next, and you know.
It's extreme only in people's eyes who believe it's extreme.
Yeah. Well, so I had a teacher.
If you look in nature, animals can go days without eating, and then they gorge on food.
Yeah.
That's looked at as extreme.
It's a big change from where we come from originally, right? Like in growing up. It's a huge change. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, it looked at as an extreme because it's very different from the mainstream.
Like I wasn't allowed to leave the table if I didn't finish my plate.
Me too.
You know, so a lot of us grew up this way. So then when you get older, like to an age where you're like your 20s or 30s, whatever, you're like sitting there eating, and you're like, all right, I'm full, but my mind is trained to continue until the plate is gone. So I would always overeat, and I know because I would fall asleep on my couch. I would literally almost every night. I would eat, and then I would just until I can't do anything else, and then I'm knocked out, and then I wake up, and I'm just like, oh. And I would sleep eat. Like I would literally wake up in the middle of the night and go to the fridge, like half asleep, and feed myself. Horrible. So I got off the masterclass, and you know, you have those times where you binge. It's normal.
Yeah.
And
we came from there.
Yeah, and I felt so guilty and just horrible about myself, and just make myself feel bad. So you know, second time around, you're going, okay, go with the guilt. All right. Now third time around, I'm not binging. So each time it gets better. Each time it gets easier, and To imagine that I just went through my hardest exams, and I was fasting the whole way through, and I was working,
Best way to do it.
and I
Mine is sharp.
yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I just
You did well?
yeah, I passed everything. I did more than pass, but like, you know, all that matters is that you get through things, right? And
You know, when I was in university, the last year, I remember I was fasting. I was doing Ramadan. I didn't do anything for cleansing back then, but I was doing Ramadan and stuff, religious, and I had to write 2 3-hour exams one day when I was fasting. And you know what? I did the best marks in these exams.
that's amazing. It's amazing because your mind is focused, clear, right? It's
As Matthew wrote, the acids pull right out the prostate, especially on master fast. Okay.
I don't know. It was a good experience for me, and I honestly wanted to continue, but it's what I learned after the first time is that just as important as your master fast is, so are the days after. Because if you immediately go back and let's say you get off master fast and eat a piece of pizza, like you are just hurting your body so much more than if you would have just never fasted at all. It would have been better for you to
see that much more.
It's a shock to the system.
And you need to assimilate slowly. Like you need to like reintroduce things, and some things you need to not reintroduce, but that's a personal choice, whatever. But yeah, and I learned that, the first time. Remember the first time I ate something that didn't settle well with me, and that sensation was just beyond words. So now, like, okay, I eat fruits. I literally was doing 1 fruit a day for the first week after. So yeah, so I would pick a melon, and I would pick a different fruit every day, and to me it became about honor. So I like set this intention. I said, okay, I'm going to honor my body, and I'm going to honor the herb. I'm going to honor it by choosing one item, and I'm going to, commit to that. And so I would go get like a weird Santa Claus melon, and that's what I ate for the day. Or
So just one fruit.
Yeah, just one fruit.
Yeah.
And then I started introducing some vegetables because I do have family coming in town. Well, no, I have family coming in town, and I just I don't want to be too limited when I'm with them. I want to be accommodating.
They're staying with you?
I'm staying with them. It's my friend's house. Yeah, but my graduation's next week, so everyone wants to celebrate, and I'm not going to tell them, hey, I'm not going to go to dinner on my graduation, so it's hard.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, making those choices this morning.
So that's the intention.
On the GAN state, can you talk about the grape juice for a few? I'm not sure what you mean, Matthew. Not clear. So what, any surprises for your master fast releases or anything? Or
I think just like when you see it from your own body, it changes. I think that every person who ever doubts this, if they could build the courage to try, to just try it, even for like just a short period. The first time you see that you go flat, or you smile, or that you feel that release, or whatever it is that triggers it for you, because for every person it's going to be a different thing, right? But that first time that you get that trigger, you'll just never, you will understand, because there's things that beyond words that we can't explain.
Yeah. I mean, just feel it without even physically seeing things coming out of you. Just the feeling, Some people feel amazing, for the first few days, and it keeps them going. It's enough to motivate them to continue.
Yeah. It took me 17 days to see something like really, like, I mean, I was
the
like,
older stuff.
yeah.
We've had people 50, 60 days before they start releasing the old stuff. That's how locked up they are. Everybody's different, but usually it's an average about 2 weeks where people start to release the real old stuff.
Right.
That's the average, but everybody's different. Age, genetics, what you've eaten, blah, 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 everything will influence when it's going to release. We don't know. But they will come out.
I definitely felt like a reversing of cavities too.
Mm.
That was something that,
And the whole thing becomes stronger as you fast, keep going fast. You go back to junk or whatever, and then that's your ultimate food, and your gums start suffering. Gums and teeth, and like of course the cavities and the whole thing, the whole mouth. Sometimes ulcers, you know. Yeah, it's you know, everywhere basically, from head to toe, you start feeling things happening. You know, if you pay attention.
Yeah. You know, people get weakness and stuff usually just before they're going to release something. Dizziness, all that sorts of stuff, you know, because the stuff is being pulled through the walls of the GI tract, you know, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. And as that's pulling out, you know, it goes into the circulation and you feel that weakness. And when it releases, it's a relief. And you feel great. Your energy gets heightened.
I don't know if you've seen Laura's post. Laura had issues with acne in the past. And I think she was day 40 or something, and her skin flared up so much after being cleared. It was not maybe 30 something days. It flared up. And she didn't feel well after a few days. She was not feeling good at all. She was very tired at work. And then she does the enemas. And this huge monster comes out, a huge big piece of mucus. Like this, like really, it's huge. It's very long, but also very big. And mucus stuff, you know, in it, and all this stuff. And a few days after, it's just
amazing. Yeah, I think that's the best advice that I can give someone is like when you're on that brink of like, I can't, just keep going, because like on the other side of that fear is like, it's just like, I don't know, bliss. Like I don't know how to. You get a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough.
It is a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Just like with anything almost in life, you work hard. You know, you have discipline. You know, you're disciplined. You know, you say, okay, I'm gonna study for that long. You know, every day I'm going to be disciplined about it. You're going to be amazing because you're really disciplined. Same thing with fasting. Same thing with everything else. You feel the reward.
And it's not just physically, you know. Like since I've been doing master class, like my connection, like with even being clairvoyant, is strengthening every step of the way, and it's very exciting. It's very like powerful, you know, to be able to connect with that world a little bit more, because I think that food, unfortunately, is a block to that. It blocks us from that spiritual world, and you know that's why you hear about like, you know, any religious or spiritual whatever it is that you believe in, because I'm one of those people. I believe that whatever you believe is true, you know. So they get through their breakthroughs after they've been on like what, a fast, right? They've separated themselves from like society, from like technology, from materials, from people, from food, and by separating that, that's when they've connected with whatever, whatever, exactly, because God exists within each of us, right? And how do you connect to that deeper piece, that deeper, your soul, your spirit, right? Is by disconnecting the disattachment of everything.
Yeah.
So,
108 days, Tom?
Yeah.
So yeah, I finished school and I'm like,
You're starting school.
but I'm starting part-time, and it's also a school where they're basically bringing together philosophy, science, and like all the things that I love. So it's
Perfect
like,
for fasting.
yeah. So it actually,
That's massive. That's
Yeah.
all the above.
it enhances everything. So, but that's what's happening is that I went from, if you would have looked at me 2 years ago, bartending, drinking every day, eating anything and everything, and now you look at me now, it's like, I don't even know that girl. I don't even know who she is. I don't know anything about her. I can tell you her story, but she's not sitting here before you. And as you start to like let the dead things go, shake them off, keep walking, before you know it, everything that's surrounding you is focused on that path, right? And now all the community, like my community, my support system is
Similar, like-minded.
exactly. And then it just, then there's no challenge. Then there's no like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you evolve even faster than ever. That's the beauty, really. At the beginning.
No, it's true, you know, like everyone has their own struggles and
Yeah.
everyone has something that, you know, and then when hormone imbalance is happening in everybody.
Oh.
It's not like exclusive to women, it's not exclusive to men, it's for both.
Everybody's got challenges in all different forms. But the heavier the matter state, the more the hormones come into play. So, you know, if you're somebody who's on a fruit diet, you're not going to have any of those issues. You start introducing the nuts, seeds, you know, fats, proteins, it starts coming into play. The animal products, it gets much more. So, you know, it's all choice. If you want to eat those things, they're going to affect you. They're going to affect you for sure.
So how do you see yourself, Reem, in the future? How do you,
It's a very loaded question.
I know, right?
This might
so
this might get some weird responses, which I'm okay with.
Right.
Yeah. You know, like I eventually see myself, let's just say with minimal food. Minimal. I'm not really sure what that looks like right now. It's gonna be a long journey, but
Well, just let it happen.
yeah. But
yeah.
So
Enjoy it, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the food and enjoy giving up slowly, you know?
I think that's something that I came across actually. Basically, we talk about like what makes us human and what makes us like humans, and a lot of it is suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about that in Buddhism and Taoism, that existence is suffering, that being is suffering. And then you talk about, well, how do you like overcome that when you stop wanting, right? So if we're suffering because we want something.
Mm-hmm.
But if we remove the wanting, then there's no suffering because we don't
There's
want
no feeling.
anything. Exactly. So instead of like wanting food or wanting alcohol or wanting
There's
whatever
no
it is,
emotional attachment.
yeah, we remove want, we remove attachment, and then there's no more suffering. So like when we talk about my first master fast, when I did this, and I'm like constantly thinking about the next meal, okay, I'm gonna have Italian food, I'm gonna have pasta, whatever it is, you know, when I remove the wanting, I stopped suffering. So this last time, when I didn't want to eat, I didn't suffer. And I was like, yep, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing it.
Did you really like? Did you crave heavy food on the first master?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really.
I mean,
Wow.
like, I just dreamt about it, you know? I was dreaming about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
lots of people.
But, like,
now
not
when you're away, if you didn't really crave the worst food, you crave maybe fruits, salads, and healthier options.
Yeah. I think I craved chewing.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to, like, you know, so then I would just really chew my juice, my protein. But yeah, now the idea of like cheese food is just, oh man. Who wants
Thank God I never got into that.
Yeah. It's like I can't believe like a year ago this is like the stuff that I wanted to have, you know, and I let myself have everything. I didn't limit myself. But that is something that even like we all can like talk about is like instead of looking at it as like this limitation, look at it as like, hey, I'm choosing this. Yeah.
I mean, when I did waffle, I mean, the foods that I discovered that I never ate before. I mean, come on. I mean, this is abundance. And then, you know, for example, going to other people's places and, you know, or meeting and socializing with people. And I felt that they felt sorry for me because I'm only eating waffle or go to a restaurant. But the truth is that I kind of felt sorry for them because they're missing out on all this delicious food that I didn't enjoy when I was, you know, when I was eating everything before. So the truth is there's something, I mean, there's lots of appreciation for sure when I did the waffle. Appreciation comes with simplicity. Just like when you fast, you appreciate food, right?
You don't need as
When
much.
you're poor, yes, yeah. When you're poor, you appreciate money. You don't need to spend much.
So true. Like, I'm afraid right now. I'm not afraid, but like, I'm a little bit like hesitant to have cooked vegetables right now because I know that the second that I cook something, it changes.
Yeah. So you haven't eaten.
No, I haven't.
Still,
I just but you get to experience so much more flavor.
Yeah, and the addiction's kind of, you start wanting more.
Yeah, the second that you eat something cooked, it's like game over. It's like, now I want everything, like, you know, and we're human beings that always want more. We indulge, right? Part of.
Yeah, I think not necessarily restricting, but like simplifying your diet. You're not gonna want as much.
Yeah, it's really important never to say to yourself, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Or
Look at it as
you're choosing. Like, that's taking the victim part out again and saying, oh, like, I'm this, I'm that. Like, don't name yourself. You're human. You know, you make different choices at different times, and that's okay. And if you make a choice and you don't like that choice, or you don't like the result that choice brings, then you have to say, okay, I'm going to make a different choice next time. And if there isn't a different option, then I'm going to create a different option. And that's where, like, MasterClass has just, like, really grown for me because it's like,
you created it, basically. You brought it into your life.
I asked for it, and then it showed up.
We create our own reality.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears. I truly believe that. And it came when I was ready, and not a moment sooner. And even though, like, I was doing that, like, practice run before, it was like I wasn't ready yet, and I have to be patient with that. And even today, even after, like, this past year and, like, whirlwind of a ride, I know there's some lessons that I need to still learn that I'm not ready to learn today, but I will learn them soon.
It's a beautiful journey, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, still, I think about what had to happen for me to discover you. Like, I can't even express, like, the gratitude that I have for you. Like, it is amazing, the gift that you've given me. Like, you've given me so much that I can't even explain. Like, real compassion with myself, real understanding, how to be gentle with myself, how to be, like, intentional and set those goals and really see it through, and how to also be forgiving, because, you know, we are our toughest critics.
Yeah, we're all learning, and together we'll just expand more and more. We can't do it alone, because alone is all one. You're always connected. So
A thought once shared gets stronger. And if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go together. And I think that, like, this support system, this platform of MasterClass system, what it has grown into, I mean, for me, I feel like I got to be a part of this, like, kind of like from the beginning in my world. Like, I'm like, oh, like, when it was small, and now it's, like, worldwide. And I'm, like, telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, like, there's people in across the world, like doing this.
More
Like,
than 2,000 members.
yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Beautiful country. It's hard to keep up with the posts.
Yeah, there's
Sometimes.
a lot of amazing stories coming in all the time.
The commitment that you two have to this is just, it's, you're really blessing people. You really are. I mean, giving people a second chance. Not just at life, but at like learning to like love themselves, learning to honor themselves. Because I'll tell you something, like stuffing your face is not honor. It's not honor to your spirit, to your mind, to your body. It is not.
Yeah,
And you can tiptoe around it all you want.
Yeah.
any form of gluttony is, it's consumerism, society, consume in all forms. Buy this, buy that, buy things you don't need, eat, it's eat and eat. It's all gluttony.
Sometimes we go through these tough roads for a reason, and that's to say enough is enough, and come out and do something completely different. And look at you're doing is very different from what your family is doing. What you're doing is very different from what your family is doing. You've been doing it for 27 years, and what I'm doing is also very different. And
Breaking
I guess
change.
we were ready for change more than anybody else. I don't know, maybe because we were hurt a lot, in our journey. Yeah, it was a tough one, but I feel like we have the key.
Oh yeah, wouldn't change it because those lessons like caused me to get to here. Like how can I say that? Oh, I wish that would happen to me. It made me stronger. Now I know that opposite, and that's why I can, like I can look at my darkness and I can accept it, and I can say because of that I have my light.
Yeah.
And the desire to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome, honestly.
Yes.
What do we have here? From Peter and Bree. Hi everyone, joining from Hood in Oregon. Hello guys. And Matthew's asking, the grape will help with cravings if it doesn't. My AA.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, grape juice, man. Forget about the alcohol. We got the herbs. if you want a little bit of alcohol, that's where
I got drunk.
your herbal wines.
Honestly, when I drink
Is
the
it-
herbs in the morning, and I drink the tea in the morning, and it hits me.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
like, ooh.
Especially on a dry fast.
Oh yeah. Even without the dry fast, sometimes I'm like,
So I make sure I don't work because one time I was kind of tipsy. I had a client. So I make sure I don't work after.
Does anybody have any questions? We're coming up to 2 hours. If anybody wants to speak or forever hold your peace. If anybody wants to speak, just unmute your mic and jump in, or Reem, if you have anything you want to add that you feel you missed.
if you haven't gone to see Rena and you're living in Toronto, you're making a huge mistake. You gotta go. Yeah.
She's a wonderful client.
Enemas, colonics, Kalimas,
Gotta do it.
essential,
Do it.
essential, big time. Sid, thank you all always being here for the people. You're welcome, Sid. I do have a question. Go ahead.
Sid, you can unmute yourself if you want, or type.
Sid, you can speak.
She put on the command line.
Oh, Um, on the Divine Nine, is it still half a teaspoon each? We have the chart on the website for depending on your weight. Half a teaspoon is the average. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's on if you go to website, herbal tincture info on the drop-down menu, and you'll find the chart near the top for the different weights. But half a teaspoon is pretty much the average for most people.
I take 1 teaspoon.
Plus or minus, you can adjust your dosage. Sometimes you may feel you want a little less some days. Some days you want to feel like a little more, and that's okay. But that guideline is just a guide for people to go by. Somebody that's 100 pounds versus somebody that's 300 pounds, there's a little bit difference in dosage. But you can vary up and down. It's no big deal. Some days I'll do a lot more, and some days I'll do less. Just go by your feel, how you feel. The herbs are there to help us, and you will feel their power. You will definitely feel their power. Don't be shy. Either way. Why do I want more? I love too much. Yeah, because they really help with the spirit as well, the emotion. They're just amazing, right? They're very highly elevated souls. Once people start thinking that they know better than the herbs, I just laugh. It's furthest thing from the truth. You can mix all these herbs up, hundreds of different ones, and each one will do whatever it needs to do inside your body, spirit, mind, emotion. They know exactly what to do. You don't need to think about it. How amazing is that? And they work for free. They don't want anything in return. So they're there to help us in these times of fasting or when we're ill and so on and so forth, which you should be fasting in my book when you're ill, because eating and healing do not belong in the same sentence for me. So, when we're eating, we don't need to be using herbs. Sporadically, occasionally is fine, but use that money and use the herbs for when you're going on these cleanses and the deep cleaning. That's where you get your biggest bang for your buck. Taking herbs and eating. I'm one for promoting the minimalist lifestyle, and I've talked about this so many times. All souls are equal. Insect, plants, animals, humans. It's all equal. So why do we need to be abusing herbs, taking them all the time? It's not something I'm comfortable with on that level, especially. We use them when we need them only, and that is when you're ill and when you're fasting, because they go hand in hand. So that's the way I see the herbs, and living a minimal lifestyle. As we clean our obstructions, as time goes on, we're going to be eating less and less, and we're going to be using herbs less and less. Till we come to a point, for some of us, we'll probably get off physical foods completely, where we won't need anything. A few of us might go down that road. That's one of my goals. How long it'll take? It may happen this lifetime. We'll see. But this is the whole thing. Vegans are talking always about protecting the animals, and I'm all for it. But I refuse to have any title, because I look at all souls on equal on the soul level,
Yes.
and plants need to be in there as well. Factory farming, plants and animals, there is no difference. Just because you don't hear the plant scream, doesn't mean they're not suffering. So guys,
More pharma with
I don't know about that.
But plants are here as medicine. We know that, right?
Yeah, they're there to help.
So
They're here to help us,
to help us.
because they're highly elevated. See, when we take on consuming animals, their dead bodies and so on and so forth, we take on all their emotions. It doesn't happen with plants, and that's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're more elevated than us. They're living off of the prana, you can call it, plasmatic state. You know, the answers are in plain sight. They're doing it, and they're showing us the way. So when we take on their energy by consuming them, it just goes right through us. They're helping us, and we don't have any accumulation of their emotions. That's why they're amazing medicines. If you look at, example, a cactus, which grows in the desert and sand, even aloe, they're pretty much breatharian plants. They've done tests where they put plants inside small boxes, and the trees or whatever they've measured that grew out of these things, they did not remove anything from the soil that was contained for these huge, humongous growths that they measured. Where did that growth come from? It didn't come from the soil like people think. It comes from the universal energy, and they're showing us how it's done. So that energy is available to all of us. We just need to learn, understand, trust, and have the faith that it's there for us. And the best way to learn how to access is through fasting. Clean out the obstructions. More obstructions we remove, more access we have. We start filling ourselves up. We want to eat more. We want to drink. We want to drink more. It's a never-ending cycle. So, also another good example is the egg. They've done experiments measuring the mineral contents in an egg when it was hatched, and then I think it was like 10 days later or something, it was like 600% more minerals. Where did those minerals come from? It's not what, the egg is sealed, confined. Where do those minerals come from? This is where we need to expand our awareness and come to the understanding how matter is created. It's done through fields, through plasmatic field interaction. All matter is created that way. There's no taking in one thing to create that thing like man thinks in physical terms. You need calcium, take calcium. You need magnesium, take magnesium. It doesn't work that way. We create matter through fields. A physical body is the same thing. So these are, concepts which are not really taught in mainstream. There's some that being taught about transmutation, but it's not really the proper word. It's actually creating matter through field interaction. That's the proper terminology. The sun interacts with the earth and then creating the atmosphere continuously, and many other things are happening that way. Pretty much everything that's in existence comes to in existence through that interaction of fields. 99.9% of the universe is plasma. But all these examples are staring right at us, and we're just too blind to see from our obstructions. Some people think that living off of these subtle energies is way out there. Think we're wacko or something. But I've just explained a couple of examples here, and it's right in front of us. It's happening. Even like the cactus and the aloe. I've seen aloe plants in the sand. Like there's nothing in sand. Where are they getting all this nutrition? There's no such thing. The roots are just there to grab into the ground to hold itself up, and it has the interaction with the elements in the soil or sand or whatever to create the field interaction with the air, and that's how the matter is created. Simple. I've seen aloe in dried pots, completely dried, and they're still growing. So, we have to come to this new awareness and new knowledge of basics creations. I don't have the whole understanding of it, just scratching the surface. But it's amazing, pretty much all the plants you're looking at, they're living on these etheric subtle energies, whatever you want to call it. So it's possible. It's possible. Our GI tract's not made for digestion. It's just forced to do that. And anybody who goes through these long, massive fasts, goes back to foods, they know what I'm talking about. You know exactly that food is overrated. And, massive fast is a disguise to move us into the realm of less is more, and no food for action, no physical foods for the people who choose. It's a disguise. You all fell in the trap. You all fell in the trap. We're going into the realm of subtle energies. We're not going to be eating any more living beings. It's coming fast. I think we'll probably see it in our lifetime. If not our lifetime, our children's lifetime, we'll come to the era of no more eating each other. No more eating any other living beings, period. Not just animals. Animals is a good start. But as soon as humanity stops eating other animals, and the animal kingdom will immediately stop, because they're ruled by man's emotion directly. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming and sharing and inspiring and
Oh, yeah, I'm
et
sure
cetera, et
many
cetera, et
people
cetera.
would relate to this.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So.
No, I don't know about that, but I'm just a messenger.
We create
Thank you.
Channels. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'm just a messenger and stubborn one that couldn't stop, and I'm still not stopping. I'm still always looking to refine and help people find simpler ways and ways that we can connect faster and faster. Okay, Sid says thank you. You're welcome, Sid. All right, so I guess we'll call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And for all the people that will be watching the recording, we'll see you around. If you have any questions, we'll meet on the board. Thank you all. We'll end the recording.